You're listening to the Game of Inches podcast, powered by Mayflower Sports. Now, here are your hosts, Jacob Smith and Andrew McGinnis.
Welcome back, guys. This is the Game of Inches podcast. I'm Andrew McGinnis. Jake is not with us today, but the show must roll on. We have Trent with us. Super excited for today's podcast. We've been doing a lot more in-person stuff, a lot more in-person interviews, video content, all that good stuff. But Trent, I wanted to introduce you as the Fade God. I don't like that name. I feel like it's a name you've been running with. You're red hot right now. Trent from BookIt Sports. Happy to have you, man.
Thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
So, Trent, we talked before we got on here recording. We've met before. It wasn't really a formal introduction. It wasn't really us, talking back and forth, but it was through just a webinar, a pitch type of thing where I got to learn about BookIt Sports. And before we get into some fun betting stories and talking about your TikTok, which I'm sure everybody wants to hear, I want to hear about BookIt. I want to promote it and hear lots about your company. So tell everybody out there about the app and just all about BookIt Sports.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on the show today and excited to talk to you about BookIt. So BookIt Sports, it was an idea at first that I came up with when I was in college. And I realized that the sports betting industry was going to become legal once PASPA was lifted, that there was a huge void missing in this space. And that was just centralization and connectivity and engagement and interaction on a platform dedicated specifically for sports bettors. I saw a lot of peers of mine hopping from platform to platform to consume content needed to place an educational sports bet. And I just thought it was super inconvenient and was asked the question, how is there not a platform dedicated specifically for this community and this industry that's growing so quickly? And that's when I, did some research, saw what was on the market, saw there was nothing like BookIt on the market, which inspired me to, get the green light and move forward with actually making it happen. And so I raised some funds from some private investors and got the first version of the app released on the App Store. You can download it today, create a profile, and essentially interact and engage with sports bettors of all types. You got sharps, social sports bettors, new sports bettors, or just flat out degens. You got the whole portfolio of sports bettors on one platform and talking about picks, coming together, trying to make money every day. That's what it's all about.
And I think the key word's community, right? And we always try and use that when we're talking about sports betting or whatever it is someone's interested in. But I really feel like with BookIt, that's what the message is. That's what it really is, a community of people. I want to ask you, because I know on Twitter, you can see some, I guess, dark spots of gambling Twitter. As far as BookIt Sports, you guys try and keep it positive. It seems like a really good environment to be around.
Absolutely. And that's the issue with Twitter is there's always those trolls. There's so much negativity. And on the BookIt Sports app, it's always positive vibes. It's everyone encouraging one another. There's never really any, disputes or any feuds on the platform because it's not, we're all, it's us against the books, so I don't really understand the beef in this industry unless, two heads are just going at it, trying to stir the pot and get some engagement out of it. Sure. But the beef, it just doesn't make sense to me. And we don't really, tolerate it on the platform.
You mentioned it's us against the books, and that's what I always find funny. It's like it's people just always want to be better than the person next to them, or say like, "Hey, like I picked this and you picked that." But realistically, we're all just trying to make some money. I got to ask you to rewind, kind of just before BookIt, before you started building this company. How long have you been betting? Back to college, high school. How did you get started with sports betting?
Yeah, it was really just being in college as a freshman, being around, a bunch of kids and just kind of picking it up from them. I saw a lot of my peers around me, how much more engaged they were to the game when there was a financial stake involved. And it just intrigued me. And, that was really when I first started getting my feet wet with actual wagers was my freshman year at TCU. My fraternity brothers, kind of got me involved into it.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I've, my girlfriend, her brother, he always, he knows what I do for work, betting content, always talking about picks, selling plays. And he says kind of what you were saying about these having a stake for entertainment, right? Like him and his buddies, they're not betting a bunch of, of units, as we'd say. They're not betting a lot of money. They're not betting every single day. But if they're having some beers and watching the UFC and they want to see some guy get knocked out, and they'll put some money on an under, or they'll, get some action in on the main event. So I think it's a really good point to talk about, because not everybody's out here putting thousands of dollars down. Not everyone every Sunday is out here, researching for the entire week. So there's all kinds of different types of bettors out there. So I got to give you credit for the community you've built with BookIt, but also the surgical streams. We got to get into that. We got to talk about the streams. I know you were just on one a short time ago, but again, community is a big thing. And I think that you've developed a pretty good group around you, people tuning in on a daily basis. So let's talk about these streams, man. When did they start, and how's it going?
Yeah, the streams are actually kind of a new thing that we just started, and we just started literally like yesterday on Twitch. But they started on TikTok, and that's where primarily my largest following is. And it was even before the surgical streams, it was me just live sweating it out. And then it slowly turned into me pulling people up, giving me their best play, because I was so damn cold, and I'm the fade god, and I was tired of losing money, and so I was just hearing other people out. And then I was like, wait, this could actually be something. We have, people coming in here every day, staying around, sticking around, tuning in for a whole hour for picks. And then the picks started actually hitting, and I was like, okay, this could actually turn into something much larger than I thought. And so get to Vegas, averaging over, 1,500 viewers on TikTok. And then I had a couple of bad experiences with TikTok, getting flagged for bullshit, whatever reasons, and they banned me for a week or whatever, for not even a right reason, but that inspired me to get on other platforms. So we tried out Twitch, and it's already been a really big success. A lot easier to just, bring people up, kick people out, bring people in, kick them out, without the Wi-Fi issues on TikTok that I was experiencing. But it's been awesome to see how much people rely on these picks. And it's actual people coming in with facts, reasons behind it, no bullshit. It's just all straight up, just gun to your head, pick of the day. What is it? You better not put the lay in jeopardy. And
don't let anyone down.
That, and they respect
don't let the boys down.
Yeah, you cannot let the boys down. And so that's why, for about an hour straight, I'll take picks, and we usually end up with like 30, 40 picks. And it's just a matter of me at the end to not fumble the bag and take the right, 4, put it in a parlay, and then maybe a couple straight bets here and there. But it's been awesome to see how many people we've helped with these streams. And I enjoy that a lot more than being the fade god. Fade god's fun and all. And I mean, I'm not saying it's over. It's definitely still a thing, but I like people. I like making people money. And that's literally what we do every day. And so whether it's taking the opposite of my picks or bringing everyone together to pick winners, any way I can make it happen.
What time can someone tune in to check out the streams?
Yeah, every day, every weekday, 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay. Yeah, and you mentioned like people coming in with reasons. I think that's the best thing too. And I host a couple different daily betting shows, and I always say that it's not just people tuning in to hear me. They're tuning in to discuss with people in the live chat, bounce ideas off us. And that's what I think is the biggest misunderstanding for people that do like what I do. It's not just us giving the picks. It's kind of giving our reasonings and interacting with the audience. So that's kind of what I wanted to ask you, is about these guys that are coming on with you. They're not just coming on and saying, hey, Trent, like, take the Leafs, they're a lock, and then leaving. You make them prepare. They got to have some good stuff for you, right?
Oh, yeah. And if you don't, then you kind of look like an idiot, and then you get the boot right away, because there's literally people at work with AirPods in, switching between tabs, listening for these plays. So don't bullshit us. I mean, there's thousands of people that are listening and taking it seriously. And so that's when I kind of changed my vibe and started taking this a lot more seriously, try and make more money. I mean, after I won the Lions money line bet, I put 500 on that. And that was more of a dare than it was me sharp calling it. And somehow it magically hit, which was electric. But since that bet, I've managed to turn that $500 into 5,000 just through the plays in the stream, and hopefully, continuing to up those units, as the stream goes on.
Yeah, that's sweet. And I got to say, it is pretty funny that the Lions finally get a win when it's a dare.
Dude, that was like one of the happiest moments of my life. It was insane.
Hats off to you for sticking with it, man. Like, hats off to you for going through with it. But it makes it that much better that the person that dared you, we can both probably agree they probably didn't think they were going to win. They're probably trying to screw you over. They were trying to screw you over.
Yeah, because I said in a video, if the Nets don't cover 7.5 tonight, I'll do whatever the top comment says. Well, sure enough, the Nets didn't fucking cover. And the top comment with like 20,000 likes, 20,000 likes on this one comment was put $1,000 on Lions money line. Well, I don't have a casual 1,000 to throw on a winless NFL team, but I still held to my word, put half of it on there. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not like they were asking you to put $1,000 on like a good team. They were asking
Yeah,
you to put
yeah.
$1,000 on like a winless team,
Come
like you
on.
said.
Come
Yeah,
on.
that's rough ass. So yeah, over 2 million likes on TikTok, 227,000 followers. How long have you had this TikTok account for?
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. So I was the CEO of BookIt Sports, came up with the idea, the original founder, was the CEO for a year and a half. And then I felt as if, I kind of took us as far as I could go as a CEO with my experience. And I felt like I could bring in someone else who's a lot more qualified. So, and that was always holding me back from being the content creator I know I could be. I had a TikTok account on BookIt Sports, has like 60,000 followers. And that was, growing pretty well, but I wasn't able to dedicate time to get creative with the videos and just, it wasn't like what it is now. And so then we realized that, hey, maybe the algorithms and these platforms are favoring individual creators rather than brands, right?
Right.
So that was when I was like, okay, I'm stepping down as CEO, bringing in someone else. Now it's time for me to be the creator I know I can be. So I made my own separate accounts, Book It with Trent. And this was in August of this year, so just a couple months ago. And that's when everything really started to change. And it was an absolutely true statement about these platforms favoring individuals over brands. Because now I'm an actual individual in the space, Book It with Trent, that people recognize rather than just, the Book It logo and the Book It name. I'm an actual person that people resonate with. And so it's been a crazy over last couple of months with the following I've been getting on TikTok, but it's really just I'm the same person on camera as I am off camera. And I think that's plays a large part in why my content resonates, with a lot of people. But just being real, being genuine, win or lose, I'm not going to bullshit you and say I'm on some red hot streak, even though I lost 4 bets that I didn't tell anyone about. Like, it's just being transparent, being super, open and just fun and engaging and interactive, but finding a way to put an entertaining twist to betting content, because a lot of the betting content that we watch today is the same shit every day. Line movement in Chicago, there's value in this bet. Like, it's boring as hell. And so just trying to find a way to spice it up.
I agree with you, man. And I'll say this, like I have nothing wrong. Like I don't have any problems with the analytical people, but lately there's just like not enough personality in sports betting. You have to have the knowledge of the sports and stuff like that, but having some fun with it while also taking it seriously, I think is the way to go. And like, hats off to you with what you've done. And I think you can agree with me though. The surgical streams, it's probably easier to show personality than doing like a recorded video or a TikTok. Like TikTok is like comedic, but the surgical streams, it's kind of like for me, like I do my shows every day, right? But we have a time limit. We've got stuff we have to go over. When I go live on Twitter and it's just me like jamming out to music and I'm in my office just kicking it, I feel like I can kind of be myself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like I'm younger than a lot of people I work with. Like I feel like I can kind of just chill, and I can see that with you. Like I told you before we started, I'm going to Vegas. I'd like to meet up if we could, maybe watch some games or something. And like you said, we all want to make some money, but we want to have fun while we're doing this. So
yes,
that's awesome,
exactly,
man.
Right. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. You're spot on.
It's one of those things, man. Like you want to have fun and you want to enjoy it, but you also want to try and find some profit and stuff like that. So I got to ask you, because I definitely agree with you about putting a face to the name. You see so many like Twitter icons, people. It's like, never lose picks 819 or all. It's like, dude, like you put a face behind it, like cash
Dude,
money 69. It's like, dude, like there's a reason probably why you aren't showing your face. I think I'm one of the only handicappers that really uses his real name. Like I am who I am. This is me. I got to ask you though, just for the future, like any plans, content, and what you kind of have moving forward. You mentioned kind of stepping down and doing a lot of the content stuff. Is this something that you've always wanted to do and you have plans for moving forward?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is what I went to school for. I was a sports broadcasting major, journalism minor. I always intended to be in front of the camera in sports some way, somehow. And then senior year, I came up with the idea for Book It and put all that to the side. But going back to my original roots, like that's literally what I've wanted to do since I was in 7th grade. My idols are like Vince Scully, you know, Jimmy Fallon, which might sound weird to you, but I love his late night show, and he kills it. And he's got a personality. And so just really idolizing some of those guys, Portnoy, McAfee, you know, they kill it every day with what they do. And I want to, you know, do the same, you know, whether it's just putting a different twist to betting content. I just signed a deal with Prize Picks, which is a new app where you can, you know, do player prop parlays and stuff like that, which I'm super excited about. And then hopefully, you know, I'm currently in talks with a couple sports books that are interested in my content. So I don't know. The future is just so unsure, but for very positive reasons. But I'm super excited, but definitely going to keep doubling down on these surgical streams. As like I said, we just got on Twitch yesterday, and that's really changed the game so much already. So really just bringing in new tools, new resources to help people make money.
It's just awesome how the betting community is growing, how the betting world is growing. I know here in Canada, it's taken some time. Like we've always had, you know, pro line. You can go to your local store, but you have to parlay. And now some provinces are letting you do singles. We're kind of waiting for some sports books to come here. But even across America, the amount of sports books that are popping up everywhere, it's really great to see. I had a couple of different questions I wanted to ask about the streams, but I got to ask you as well, just about user interaction and the amount of users the BookIt's been getting since, you know, your content. Because one thing I got to give you props for, and I'm not just saying this, I mean this, you don't really mention BookIt too much on your TikToks or your streams. It seems like too much. Like you can tell you're enjoying what you're doing. You're building a brand and a character. I like that, you know, and I think that we know who you are. We know you have BookIt, and I'm sure that it's important to build that brand. Is it something that you've done on purpose? Because I've definitely noticed it. Like you aren't shoving BookIt Sports down anyone's throat when you do those TikToks.
Yeah, no, I never want to come off as salesy or I'm trying to shove anything down anyone's throat, whether it's a promo code to sign up for this app or, you know, come check out my parlay exclusive to BookIt. You know, I want to get to a point with the app where I can feel confident that my following behind me is going to go and download it, right? And right. Use it daily. And you only have one impression with a mobile app, right? And so we're still early on in our infancy with the product and cleaning up some of the bugs and, you know, glitches and stuff. So I'm waiting until we get this new update that we're currently in the works. And we're also raising a fundraising round to really utilize and maximize my following and direct them to the product. So a couple more months, I would say, until I really have that. But at first I started, you know, using BookIt's, using my content to get people to book it. Mm-hmm. And I learned very quickly it just wasn't performing well. So I was like, okay, you know, I need to build a following first before I start, you know, really getting people to go and download this app and saying so in my content. So for lack of a better word, I'm surgical with when I use to promote stuff, because I really don't want to be a walking advertisement. Because then once you do, your content just gets diluted and no one really cares for it anymore. So it's very selective. But as we're closing in on this investment round and tying the loose ends there, going to make some exciting announcements and some product enhancements. And then, you know, once we have some features that sports bettors, you know, desperately are craving on the app, is when I'll, you know, make those announcements and stuff. But yeah, always, you know, BookIt Sports is the first priority for me, and super excited. The growth, we're almost at like 100,000 users on there.
Awesome.
So just striving towards that goal, making the app better each and every day. And yeah.
You know, the old fashioned saying, if you build it, they'll come. And I think that with the content you're creating, people will know BookIt. And like you said, the people that like what you do, that like you, and that have heard about BookIt through you, they'll sign up and join and stuff like that. I always think about The Social Network, the movie. We all have seen it, the Facebook movie. And I always bring this up to my friends about people that they start businesses and they start wanting to like sell things too quickly. And when Eduardo goes up to Mark and he's just like, hey man, like we got to get some ads going. And he's just like, dude, ads aren't cool. That's what Mark says to him. He's like, ads aren't cool. Like we're going to build something. And anyway, I just wanted to say that to you. That was kind of improv, but I didn't plan on saying that, but I truly respect it. Just because you're building a brand. So
funny thing about that, I mean, there's so many things behind the scenes that go on with starting a startup. And I can honestly really say that movie was extremely similar to my experience in the year and a half of being the CEO and starting the brand. So many roller coaster, emotions, bro. Like between and closing investment rounds, so many highs, so many lows, so much, just it's insane. But I mean, that movie is, I've always loved that movie even before I started this venture, but I love it even more because I just can relate